Hi, today I'm going to read about the book about a little refugee. Mm, this book, I was born in a faraway country called Vietnam. It was crazy place, strange food, snacks in bottles. Five people squared onto the back of one little motorbike. My mommy and dad were very poor, so we lived with mom family, lots of them. There were 14 people living in a tiny three room. Even though we were poor and the house was crowded, I was happy because there were always a lot of people to play with me. I didn't know there was a war going on outside our house in the jungles in the village of Vietnam. Many people were dying. Lots of them were soldiers, but some were mothers and fathers, and some were even children. My father and many of my uncles in the war fighting alongside the Australian and American soldiers. After the war ended, their lives were in great danger because they were on the losing side. My family decided to accept to another country. From now we will be refugees. Our family, together with some neighbor and friends, bought an old wooden fishing boat that stank of fish. Very early on morning, when it was still dark, we crept out to our boat. 40 people cramped on a board. At first, the storm beat down on us. The lucky clouds came and grabbed us, said, but then the sky turned black and angry storm arrived. Giant waves crashed down our little boat. I was terrified, but my mom hugged me tight and told me everything will be okay. Don't worry, it will be okay. Finally, the storm passed and the sun came out again. Mom and Dad stood together, looking at all the food and water that had been ruined by the sea. At last, we are all still alive, said Mom, but we were hungry and thirsty. So the next morning, we wake to the sound of my uncle shouting, "A boat! I can see a boat!" A fishing vessel and approaching. I pull up alongside us. The fishermen jump on board our boat. "Sit down, all of you," the leader shouted, waving a gun. A pirate grabbed hold of my baby. He lifted up the baby and breathed upon his nappy. A tiny slice of gold fell out. The pirates dazzled the baby over the side of the boat, threatening to throw him in. My father screamed, "We must save the child." All the scared, hungry people our boat stood up ready to fight these pirates to save the baby's life. The pirate changed his mind and tossed the child at his mother's feet. His life was spared. That baby was very brother Koa. As the pirates were leaving, one of them felt sorry for us and threw us a bottle of water. It wasn't much, but it saved our lives. The next day was our 50th day at sea. We saw another boat. Luckily, it was a German cargo ship. Of we were rescued. Everything will be okay now, said my mother. What a great country, my parents said to each other when we arrived in Australia. Two nuns came to visit and gave us a huge bag full of clothes. There were little boys' clothes, also little girls' clothes. My mom had two little boys, but she was too polite to say anything. The next day, we were walking down the street, and an old lady stopped to say, "Mom, what a pretty little daughter you have." Mom looked down at my brother Koa and smiled. He was wearing a gold dress. Soon we found a house to live in. I started going to school. I tried hard at school because I knew that would make my parents happy, but it was really miserable. I could not speak English very well, so I didn't understand my teacher. I had a different food too the other kids, and some of them laughed at me. I even looked different because I didn't have the right school uniform. Uniform were expensive, and my parents could not afford to buy the right one. Mom and dad started their own sewing business so that we could make more money and buy us all things we needed for school. They bought three brand new sewing machines. But then one morning, Mom's raised in the house yelling, "Where are the machines? Who moved the sewing machines?" The sewing machines were kept in the shed in our backyard. During the night, someone had stolen them. Mom was really quiet a few days after that. One afternoon, I heard her sobbing quietly in herself at the bathroom. I met me was very happy. I wa- so went and hid under my bed. Mom found me. She climbed under there with me. We lay there for a while. You know, Anli, I'm just a little bit sad now, but I will be okay. You must always have hope that things will be okay. Remember when we were on the boat and the pirates threw us a bottle of water? Even when things really terrible, some things good can come of it. I hoped my heart, but I was doubtful. Mom said, "We are so lucky to be alive and living in this beautiful country. There are many people much worse off than us." Even though it was hard at first, I started to learn English properly. Each afternoon, I would do all my homeworks lying on the floor among the swing scraps. Slowly, I started to do a better in school and began to make a few friends. At the beginning of the year 3, a new kid started in my class. His name was Angus, and he had curly red hair and a blue jacket with a patch on the elbow. At morning tea, he was sitting by himself eating a banana. He looked very lonely. I remember how lonely I used to be, so I went over and asked if he wanted to play with handball. I played with him again the next day, and the day after that. Other boys started to ask if you could join in, and soon we had a great handball competition. At the end of the year, 4 hour schools held in big prize and giving assembly. My parents never came to school function because they were always working, but I begged mom and dad to take afternoon off work so they could come and watch this assembly. Throughout the awards, I was praying that I would win one so that mom and dad will be proud of me. The school principal reached the end of the list award. I didn't get one. I was so disappointed that I could even look my parents. They had taken a precious afternoon of working for nothing. Then the principal said she was going to announce all the class captains for next year. She through her list, and everyone clapped politely for each other. The new captain. Finally, she raised the list of next year, and the class captain for the five blues class is Ando. I could not believe it. The kid who used to have no friends and smelly lungs had become the class captain. As I walked toward the principal to shake hands, I heard a big whoop from the audience. I looked down and saw two people standing on their feet, clapping and cheering loudly. It was mom and dad. My eyes filled with tears as I looked my parents' smiling face. I knew I had made them happy. In spite of all the dangers and hardship they had to face, mom and dad always told me I had hope and to believe that everything would turn out in the end. So in this story, the Endo is from the Vietnam and she came to the Australia and she has lots of struggle when she came to Australia. And the moral, I'm going to give some hints in the moral. Um, I would like to read The Little Refugee by Endo, very touching and uplifting book about the experience of the family and Endo is as a refugee. Now let's start with this story. This is what we consider as a more of the book after we read the story. The Little Refugee is ethical tale of faith and hope. And though the author and his family had to undergo much in their life and refugee on their way to new home and new land, they however didn't give up and survive all hardship. These people had hope of the future and made their best effort to build a new life in Australia. It teaches us that we must always find a way out and not to shy away because the life might be difficult. It also teaches us important of the cultural knowledge. By accepting diversity, we will be able to create a more humane world. The narration makes us consider that the life of others and empathize with them, but particularly with refugees who are being new lives without their homeland. The prevalent discourse is this book can be seen as the theme of resilience. It asks us to preserve the world as a displaced, bring them to something new despite tremendous defeat. It calls us to question the belief we have and treat cultural diversity with fairness and tolerance. Now we will discuss the way we can continue this book in the classroom. To start with, I will establish a diversity corner in the classroom. Picture, cultural artifacts, and books of the different cultures, including those portrayed in the story, will be present in this book space. It will establish a setting with children which will feel free to understand various cultures and talk about their own culture. We can do something activities after reading the book. Role playing will be one of the activities. Children may then switch roles of acting a refugee, imaginations, immigrations into a new country, and it's where children will be able to sympathize with the plight of other people. The other activity may be an art project in which the children will be draw what hope means to them and there will give them a chance to express their feeling. My role of such activities as an educator will be lead the children, allowing them to think and introspect their feeling and perceptions. I will also pose open questions such as how do you make people hopeful when times are hard? How do you believe and felt when he arrived in Australia first? Or what makes people hopeful what when times are hard? I will always I will also strive to create a safe, respectful and interesting environment where all the children will learn about share with one another. The sum of the little refugee is strong lesson on the preservation, hope and cultural awareness. It is a book that will make young minds realize that they should respect diversity and treat the world with a kind heart and understanding. Thank you for listening.